The Montreal Metro moves over 1 million people each day. In fact, it is the second most used metro system in Canada and the United States, only behind New York City. While it's not the biggest network, it is one of the best in North America. Montrealers love their metro, so it's your key to exploring the city like a local. Too many tourists make the mistake of renting a car or using a taxi all the time, when in many cases the metro is not only cheaper, but quicker too. Today, my goal is to help you learn all you need to know to make the most of public transit in Montreal. Stick around till the end for tips only a local would know. Now let's get started with the basics. The Montreal Metro is made up of 4 underground lines, which are all color-coded. The green line takes you from west to east, the blue line does the same, but more to the north. The yellow line takes you south. And lastly, the orange line connects them all together. It has in total 68 stations that connect you to all major neighborhoods like Old Montreal, Downtown, Verdun, Mile End, and so many more. The metro connects to other networks like the REM, which is an above-ground light rail, or the regional train service, EXO. There are 2 ways to buy a fare. Well, technically 3. The first one is at one of these machines that are located at all metro stations, as well as other rail networks, which I'll show you how to use in a minute. The second way is at one of the service booths located by the turnstile. If you aren't sure what you need or where to go, you're best going to the booth to speak with an employee. Keep in mind there are times when the booths are closed, and that the employee might not speak English. The metro can be quite loud, so not having to talk to someone to buy a fare is a plus for me. Many other cities have adopted contactless payment to buy a ticket directly at the turnstile in their subway, but Montreal hasn't done that yet. Sadly, you can't just tap your cell phone or credit card to enter. When using the bus, you can pay with coins or purchase a ticket in advance at any metro station for the same price. To start, set your preferred language, then select non-reusable. A single ride on the Montreal Metro will cost you $3.75 Canadian. There are many other options though, and I did the math to help you know what to choose. Basically, the more tickets you buy, the more advantageous the price per ride will be. If you only plan on using the Metro once or twice, buy either the single or double ticket for a round trip. If you plan on using the Metro more than 3 times in a single day, it's more advantageous to buy a 24-hour unlimited pass at $11. The same applies to the 3-day unlimited pass at $21.25. As early as your 6th ride, you'll be saving money, which is really just 1 round trip per day. For the weekly pass, if you are arriving any other day than Monday, I don't suggest you buy it since you will lose out on a few days. Any unlimited pass is also valid to take the 747 bus to and from the airport. Normally you would have to pay $11 for a one-way trip to the airport, so the unlimited pass is worth it. There's currently no metro or train that brings you to the airport, but there will be in a few years. All the fares I've mentioned so far are loaded onto a disposable card that you simply tap or insert to use. Important side note, you have to keep this card the entire duration of your trip as proof of purchase. Sometimes there are fare inspectors who will ask to see it, and if you don't have it, you'll get a fine. So keep your ticket with you until you exit the metro. To use either of those fares, the weekly or monthly, you will need an Opus card that you can purchase for $6 at the fare machines. They are reusable, so don't toss it out. You can load tickets onto the card by placing it in the fare machine like this, purchasing your fare, then remove the card when prompted to. Lastly, if you have an Opus card, you can purchase tickets using the Chrono app. Just tap your card on your cell phone, purchase the fare, and then tap your card again. And when your trip to Montreal is done, you have a little souvenir. Metro entrances are identifiable by this icon. Most of the time, the Metro will have a standalone entrance building like this, but sometimes the entrance is integrated into a building, either an office building or a mall. Either way, the sign will indicate the name of the station and the color of the line. In some cities like New York or Boston, there are stations where entrances lead to one direction or the other. In Montreal, you don't need to take a specific entrance to go a certain direction. Once past the turnstiles, the direction you will go is indicated by the color and the last station of the line, so pay attention before going to the platform. The system is the same if you want to make a transfer to a different line, so find the sign that leads to the correct color line, and then double check the terminus station to know which direction you will travel. For example, I'm leaving a hockey game downtown at Metro Lucien-Allier and going to dinner in Hochelaga, which is a neighborhood out east, which is close to Metro Joliette. I will need to head towards Montmorency, transfer at Berry-UQAM, and then head towards Honoré-Beaugrand to reach Joliette station. So I double check I'm heading towards Montmorency before going to the platform. I'll then get off at Berry-UQAM station, find the sign that indicates a transfer towards Honoré-Beaugrand on the green line, and then just exit at Joliette. Which station the metro is approaching is visible on the screens on board, with the next station's name announced on the speakers. This is handy for knowing if you are in fact going the right direction. Some stations are huge, like underground cathedrals, and have multiple entrances and exits. Pay attention to where exactly the exit leads to. This is handy when meeting up with somebody, or if you have to go a certain direction. So you shouldn't get lost. The Chrono app I mentioned earlier is great for getting directions. If not, Transit is a personal favorite of mine. And of course, Google Maps. Having any of those on hand will save you a lot of hassle and provide live updates on where you're going and when the train or bus is passing. The Montreal Metro is in general a very safe place to be, but it's always better to be safe than sorry. Always keep an eye on your belongings and surroundings. This applies too when using the bus or on any other networks like the RAM or regional trains, but again, they are very safe. Remember to always stand behind the yellow line to avoid falling or dropping anything on the tracks. You won't believe how many service interruptions there are every year because someone dropped something on the tracks. If you do drop something on the tracks, don't go down to get it. Find an employee who can help you. If ever there is an emergency, just pull the red lever on the metro or push the red button to speak to the driver. My last safety tip, hold on to a bar when standing. The metro can move very quickly, and there are some turns in the tunnels. To avoid falling over or stumbling onto someone, make sure you hold on to something. You won't regret it. As a tourist, there are 5 local customs you need to know when using the Montreal Metro. Number 1, stand on the right, walk on the left. Always stand on the right side of the escalator if you don't want to walk. Use the left-hand side if you want to walk through the escalator. People will kindly ask you to step aside if you are on the wrong side. It's better not to block the way. Number 2, let people off first, for the love of all that is good. This is essential during rush hour. Wait until the flow of people exiting the cart is complete before entering. Also, stand clear of the doors to make this easier. Don't stress, there's enough time for everyone to get off or on. Number 3, be courteous with seats. You will see that some seats are reserved for the elderly, pregnant people, or people who are injured. The wagons on each extremity of the metro also have sections reserved for wheelchairs or bicycles, so try to let them use that space. Number 4, don't hug, but hold on to the bar. As mentioned before, if you are standing, you should hold on to a safety bar. Be mindful not to hug or lean on the bar, since that will block others from being able to grab on for safety. Number 5, spread out, don't block. The Montreal Metro is open from end to end, so try to spread out and not block entrances. The same goes for when you are on the platform. Don't just stand where the corridor or stairs lead, spread out a bit. So those are all the essentials you should know to be a Metro Pro. With this information, you should be able to travel with ease and safely. Here are a few other tips and tricks to make your experience even better on the Metro. Public transit is free for children 11 years old or younger. This is great for families or groups traveling together. Just pass by the service booth and they will unlock the turnstile for your kids to pass through. Not all stations are wheelchair accessible. If you are traveling with someone elderly or with an injury, you might want to make sure that the station is accessible. Just look for this symbol on the Metro map to know which stations have elevators. I've linked it in the description below. The Montreal Metro has an incredible art collection on display. It really is like a gallery. There are some larger-than-life sculptures, murals, stained glass, and more. Since it opened, the network has worked with artists and architects to create artworks that reflect each station's identity, turning the whole system into an underground museum. You can visit the Montreal Public Art website to get an idea, which I've also linked down below. And my last tip for the Montreal Metro, there is wireless reception all throughout. That means you can call, text, and use the internet all without interruption. You can also go on YouTube and watch this guide again if ever you need. Just saying. Now that you're a Metro Pro, consider checking out the Montreal Underground City, which is connected to the Metro. I made a video talking about it, so consider checking that out next. It's really a deep dive into what it is and if it's worth your time. Thanks again for watching, and see you in the next one.